episode 216 of the White Cat Outdoors podcast, bringing you to the table while we talk about the outdoors. This week we have another light crew. It's just me, myself, and Tom. So Tom has been doing quite a bit of trapping. I think we've talked about it on the podcast a few times. But Tom decided to go over to a long-time, Tom likes to call him his guy, that he sells all of his furs to. And he was going to drop off his fisher and happened to have his fox ready to go. So Tom decides, this episode we're going to go a little bit into Tom's trapping tactics and what it takes to prepare a fur to be sold. So if that's something that interests you, we hope you guys enjoy this episode. Either way, I feel like it's entertaining and informative information. So I'm going to quit rambling and let's get tuned in to this week's episode.
So I did the cardinal sin. I pull up my bow and then I look dead at his antlers. I got out of the truck and when I slammed the door, I heard gobbles all around me.
Let's see it.
Alaska, moose, spot and sock. That is the bucket list. I agree.
White Cat Outdoors. White Cat Outdoors.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another installment of the White Cat Outdoors podcast. I'm your co-host tonight, Tom, and we kind of got a ghost town in here tonight. It's just me and Nick.
Yep, what's going on? I thought you were about to try and pretend it was just you here.
No, there's two of us, but we're hoping to give you some quality content.
Yeah, you're going to be pretty much running the show tonight. I'm going to just be asking a lot of questions because tonight's episode's all pretty much about you and what you've been up to the past couple weeks. And, yeah. So, Tom, what have you been, where were you at yesterday? Let's start with that.
Yesterday, I spent my evening at my buddy Honest John's Trapper Shack. And I've been dealing with him since I started raccoon hunting.
It was before we could drive.
Yeah, I think I got my hounds in 6th grade, and I started hunting in 7th grade.
Yeah, I was in 8th grade
Yeah.
when we started hunting on.
So it took us a year to train. We were hunting in a year, and at that time, fur was actually worth something. And we had this, I don't want to call it our guy, but he basically was our guy.
Yeah.
He was our fur guy. And it was actually...
You got a guy for everything.
Yeah. And at the time, I didn't know how to skin, flesh, stretch, put up, dry a raccoon hide.
Yeah, we were 14 and 15 at the time.
Yeah, and nobody that I knew was involved in this. Nobody trapped, nobody coon hunted. So I did all of my training basically based off of the movie Where the Red Fern Grows.
Yeah, it was funny because I actually read Where the Red Fern Grows in 8th grade as like part of my English class.
Yeah.
So it was like right on schedule, us training dogs, reading that book. I'd already seen the movie at that time, but the books just goes a little bit more in depth than the movie does.
Yeah. And like I said, this is a fictional podcast. We went out, we trapped a raccoon in the summer and used the hide to drag around the yard.
So we literally was like, if you've ever seen the movie, literally would tie a coon hide to a stick, with a rope and just run it around the yard.
Yeah, started out with just letting the dogs chase us. And then after a little while, Nick would hold the dogs. I'd go, 60 yards and hang it up in a tree, let the dogs watch me, and then they'd follow it. And then a little while after we kept doing that, we'd have Nick turn the dogs around so they couldn't watch me. I'd go a little bit farther. And then, as time progressed, we went on to live raccoons and then hunting. And, I mean, they weren't championship hunters, but
That first year, no, but they got really good.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point where I knew.
If they got on a trail, we were going to get that raccoon.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking back. I don't think there was ever a night we didn't get coons. Like, it was just.
No, they,
constant.
don't get me wrong. They were excellent dogs. But I didn't get into the tournament hunting or anything like that. We were just.
No, that's not why we were doing it, though. That's just what we wanted to do, and we just did it on our own. Our dogs were UKC registered, but we weren't really affiliated with any clubs or hunting stuff like that. We just did it on our own, and remember spending several school nights getting yelled at for being out too late. And
I promised, Mom, we got lost. I didn't mean it.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I just remember. Yeah, we'd go 3 to 5 nights a week. Middle of school, and we'd be like, Mom would be like, all right, home by 10:30, 11 o'clock, or whatever it was, and come rolling back in after midnight with a sack full of coons, and just didn't really care. It was like we were just having so much fun. I mean, we weren't paying attention to cell phones or nothing. You're just out there running through the woods and having a great old time.
But at that time, we were getting anywhere from like $18 to $25 for a frozen raccoon carcass. Yeah, I didn't have to do anything except get the raccoon out of the tree, throw it in the freezer, and I'd take it to John, and it was like $18 to $25 depending on size of the coon and the quality of the fur.
Yeah, we literally just show up with garbage bags. It was like insane.
Yeah, that's not really the case anymore. I think the last coon I sold, I got $1.50 for it.
Yeah, and you've tried selling them since, and he just turns them away.
Yeah. So, kind of getting off tangent here, but last night I was at John's Trapper Shack, and I was dropping off a fisher that I had caught earlier in the year, and I was actually picking up a tanned fox hide from him that I had got done the year prior. And it's kind of,
Is that the New York one?
yeah, that was the one from up at Morrison.
Nice.
And so happy to get it back, but we kind of just wanted to talk about like trapping in general, what it takes to get the fur from the animal to either the auction or get it tanned for having it yourself.
Yeah, for whether you're making clothing, for display, whatever you want to do.
And like right now, not to say that I'm against raccoon trapping, but I have trapped and hunted, I don't know how many hundreds of raccoons. The challenge, I don't want to sound cocky, but just isn't really there for me.
No, I mean it's one of those things where it's necessary to do.
Yeah, I
because
think
there's
if you're
so many
getting
raccoons.
into-
Well, even beyond that, it's something that our raccoon population has gotten so out of control because of the drop in sale prices for fur that nobody wants to do it. So I do feel like it's a necessary thing, and even if we're not setting for raccoons, you're catching them every year. So it's not like you start trapping, you will not be able to avoid catching raccoons.
Absolutely. But I think if you're new into trapping, raccoon is a great place to start.
That and muskrats.
Yeah, muskrats. But I've since kind of graduated from raccoon trapping. I now focus more on like beavers, fishers, fox, and coyotes. And I haven't caught enough of those. I've caught enough beavers. I'll sell my beaver hides now. But I'm still not to the point where I want to part with my fox hide or a coyote hide and sell that. I still like to keep a few for me, keep them on the wall. But basically, I don't know what's probably the best. We'll start with a beaver.
Well, I mean, they're pretty much, it's all the same process. Once you have, the carcass. Or are you backing up into like just trapping in general?
Well, no, because there's different.
I guess, you're stretching a beaver different than you would.
Beavers, I guess raccoon, coyote, and fox are all
the same.
Pretty similar, but beaver is.
I guess we'll do different. Beaver and then group everything else up the other way.
So basically, with a beaver, you don't do what they call the traditional sock skin. With a beaver, you remove the feet and the tail, and then you start at the base of the tail and make a cut from the base of the tail all the way up to like the bottom lip. So you basically cut it right in half and peel the hide off that way. And it ends up being like a big circle.
Almost more of an oval, I guess, but
Yeah. And from there, once you have the hide off, you have to do what they call fleshing the hide, which is getting all of the fat and meat and whatnot off of the hide. And I have, it's called a fleshing board. It's like basically just a plank that comes off the wall. It's about a little over hip height. And you use a fleshing knife. And basically what the fleshing knife is, it's a long blade, probably 8 inches, that you would hold
on the end.
Well, I'm like...
It looks like a debarking tool for lumber is
Yeah.
basically what it is.
Yeah, you hold the blade. I'm just trying to like... You don't hold it like a regular knife.
No, there's a handle on each
there's
side.
handles on either side, and you kind of push it away from you across the hide to scrape all that off. But you have to be careful, especially with a beaver, along like what would be the belly. So like the exterior of the circle is super, super soft skin, super soft fur, and it's extremely easy to cut through it. And if you cut a hole in it, well, your $25 beaver hide just turned into a $5 beaver hide. So you have to be pretty mindful. And what I've found is the best way to do is actually flip the blade over and use the blunt end and scrape it with that, because that fat, it doesn't really cling on real well to that super soft skin. So you can actually just kind of push it off with that blunt end. And then, so that, I'm not very good at doing that. I've seen guys flesh a beaver in 5 minutes. Takes me 20-25 minutes to do. And then from there, you basically put it down on a board, and you want to, I couldn't even tell you how many nails go into like a average 45-pound beaver, well over 100. But basically what you do is you're trying to get a perfect circle. Is
it a perfect circle, or are you going
Yeah.
for the oval?
No, you want a circle.
Gotcha. So I guess I was wrong to say oval.
But you basically you put a hole or put a nail through the nose, and then down at the bottom, and then stretch out the 2 sides. So now you got 4, and then you basically just work your way around the entire circumference of this hide, going probably every half inch, putting the nail in, stretching in all the way, and then you just let it hang until it's dry, and that takes a couple weeks depending on what kind of condition it's in.
How important is temperature and stuff when it comes to like the drying period?
Pretty important. One of the main things is you want like constant temperature. You don't want 40 degrees in the evening and then it gets up to 70 degrees. You want pretty constant, right around 50, 60 degrees, not much fluctuation. If you let them go too long and it warms up too much and bugs start coming out, I've had bugs ruin a hide. They just get in there and they chew the hair follicles, and all the hair falls out, and it's a mess. But once you have it put up on the board and dried, at that point, if you're looking to sell it, it's ready to go to the auction. And basically you just put it in a box in whatever fur auction you choose to go with. You just mail it to them, and then whatever they sell them for, they cut you a check and send it to you in the mail. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. Or how we did it.
Getting them tanned?
Well, no, we used to not deliver straight to the auction. That's where John's Trapper Shack comes into play.
Oh, yeah. Well, what I started doing with John is I found out he charges a very fair price for putting up a hide. And I decided that I think I would rather pay him his wage to stretch the hides than do it myself. So I started taking him full beaver carcasses, and beaver's still pretty good. You can get $25 for a good beaver, but the simplest way, like Nick said, how we do it is you just take the full carcass to a fur dealer and they give you the money right there. And then he actually, when he gets enough of them, he loads up his entire van and drives up instead of paying the shipping, he'll drive up. He goes to a auction in Michigan and sells them there.
Yeah, it's kind of one of them things where if you're patient and stuff, you can go to the auction yourself and you'll probably make a little bit more. But you're also taking a little bit of a risk because it is an auction. Versus, you deliver it to basically your guy, you're getting cash in hand right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's going to buy it at a lower rate than the auction most likely will because he's going to take it to the auction. But it's just kind of what's important to you and what you want to do. And for Tom and I, it just made sense to just go straight to him and not worry about the auction.
Yeah, and we never really did trapping for like the financials of it. You're not going to make a living trapping anymore.
Huh. Some people do.
Well, I'm saying being an individual trapper. John is buying fur from other people. There's no way you could trap the amount of fur that he's selling.
That's true.
But like as one person, it would be almost impossible to make enough money just off of selling your furs. But yeah, if you're buying other people's furs and selling it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I forget what train I was on.
We were just talking beavers and the process. I interrupted you because you were talking about the next step into tanning. You said, once you got it dried, it's ready to sell. But then your next part was going into the tanning process.
Oh yeah, the tanning is I've tanned my own hides before, and the result I get doing it myself is not the result you get from going to a professional tannery. But to do it yourself, it's pretty simple. You start with your dried fleshed hide, and you can actually dry them faster if you cover the flesh in salt, kind of roll it up, leave it in a bag, change that once a day for like 3 or 4 days. And then you can buy it at pretty much any outdoor store. It's called Tanning Solution. It's a little orange bottle. You coat the skin side with that, let that dry, and then once that's dry, it's preserved, but it's pretty stiff. Then you kind of just got to work it over a rope. You can get it wet and then throw it in the dryer. That'll help soften it up. But if you get it professionally done, it's way better.
Gotcha.
But basically the same thing for, same process for like your canines or your raccoons, except for you do what's called a sock skin. And basically what that is you still remove the hands and feet, and then from like the back feet, you make an incision from the inside, and you go down the inside of the one leg, across the bottom, and then up the inside of the opposite leg. And then I usually hang them upside down, and then they call it a sock skin because you basically pull it off
like it's a sock.
like you would a sock. And then for those, you flip them inside out and put them on a stretcher, which is almost
you
like
still have to do the flushing part.
Yeah, you still flush it out, and then you put it on a stretcher that's almost like a triangle shape. The tip of the triangle goes up to where the nose would be.
It's like a really elongated triangle. Usually, a lot of them, like the newer ones, they have are out of wire.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people used to use like wooden ones, and just pretty much whatever. The wire ones are easy because they're easy to store. They don't take up a whole lot of room.
Yeah, they're a lot.
But they have
lighter.
different sizes for different animals, and
Yeah, and basically, and they'll have clips on the side that run like up and down the sides of the triangle, so you can put the nose on the tip of the triangle, pull it down tight, and then just clamp the 2 clips to the bottom of the hide where it's tight, and it's a lot easier than putting up a beaver, getting it into a perfect circle. But yeah. And then from there, you either send it to the tannery or you take it to your trapper guy and have him sell it at the auction for you.
yeah, simple as that. So what did you pick up today or yesterday?
I picked up my fox and dropped off my fisher.
So what's your plans with the fox? Because is it just dried or tanned, or would you get done with it?
Tanned. Yep, it's ready to hang up on the wall. I'll probably put it next to my coyotes and beavers.
And fisher.
And fisher, yeah. And I'm getting the fisher back the tanned Fisher hide, he said hopefully June. So it's beginning of February. So you're looking at 5-6 months lead
Ain't
time.
too bad.
No, not quicker.
Now,
than-
how long did he have your beaver or your fox ready?
I don't know. I called him a couple weeks ago and said, "Hey, I'm just checking in on that fox I dropped off." He's like, "Oh yeah, I've had that." I'm like, "All right, I'll be in to pick it up."
Nice.
So, anyway, it was I think $70 to get a fox tanned, and I brought him a frozen fox. He skinned it, fleshed it, put it up, dried it, sent it to the tannery, paid for the shipping back, and total cost for me was $70. So thanks.
That's pretty
I didn't
good.
think that was too bad at all. Fisher's a little bit more. It's $20 more, but I decided on the Fisher I want to keep the paws on it.
That's why it was more.
Yeah, that's
It would
definitely.
have been the same price if you had paws on your fox, I would imagine.
Yeah, but the Fisher paws are so cool. They're really big for the animal. I just thought it would be cool to have those on there. So
Neat.
yeah, picked up some otter lure while I was there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
So he sells lure, furs.
lure, fur, traps.
He sell like all your fleshing tools and boards
Yeah,
and stuff.
basically anything you need for trapping.
That's
he's
what, yeah,
got it.
he's got wax, dirt, and everything. I think we
Yeah.
went and picked that stuff up, sheep's wool, all that stuff.
Yeah, anything you could ever need.
It's kind of neat that we have that. Like, as modern as the world has become, which sounds stupid, but you should understand what I mean by that. Like, this isn't, the where the red fern grows era anymore.
No.
But for us to have this, little trapper outpost that we can go to get that kind of stuff, it's pretty neat that they're still around.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be real bummed. Not that we use them a lot or anything, but it's gonna suck when that's gone.
Oh, absolutely.
So enjoy it while you got it, and if you got that in your area, cherish it.
And I tell you what, you go to one of those trapper shacks and the guys running them, because I've been to a few of them, and they love talking, they love hearing hunting, trapping stories. If you go to one, set aside some time because you're going to be there a while.
Yeah, especially, those stories are priceless.
Oh, yeah.
There's pretty cool life lessons, I'm sure, in there too.
Yeah, I always have a good time going there.
Well, nice. Well, congratulations on dropping off a Fisher. That'll be cool to see, and of course
Yeah.
for picking up your fox.
Absolutely.
So where are we at trapping season wise? Is it coming to an end or?
Beaver's still in. Fox is still in. Coyote's still in. Otter opens up Saturday. I'd love to get some otter sets out. So I still got... Beaver is usually like the latest, and that goes to like mid-end March. So I still got another month and a half, 2 months left. So
Well, good deal. Well, you guys heard it there. Trapping season is in full swing right now, so you guys know what to do. Get outside.